2023. Life can be like one of these. You think you're buying a banana, but in fact you're buying something that's only used for cooking. The question then becomes, do you eat it anyway? And I say yes. Tasty. My favourite philosophy book, not that I've read them all, is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And I think the name Meditations can be a little misleading. There's nothing to do with Buddhism. He was a Roman emperor, and he was a great commander. I think during his reign, the Roman Empire was at its zenith, and he actually features in the movie The Gladiator with a small part. He's the old man that dies, and then his crazy son takes over, as often seemed to be the way in empires. One thing he said is, it's far better to take things with patience and equanimity than to in effect get annoyed by stuff, or get disturbed by things. Hence the eating of the platana, or whatever it was called. One of his ideas was to take things as they come. It's sort of predetermined by nature and the ether that it's meant to be that way. So just take it with patience and keep level head about things. I am a massive hypocrite because right now I'm walking along these possibly cornfields. Yeah, cornfields. There's all these little fly things. There's a big group of them like flying next to me. You'll like be walking along and there'll be a big group of them like near a pool of water or something, and then they'll just join the circus and come along for the Camino. And went for a bit of a run earlier, kind of a limping run because of my gimpy leg, and I certainly wasn't dealing with the flies with patience and equanimity, despite the fact that nature intended it to be so. What's good about the Camino in 500 words or less? So there's the obvious external factors like scenery, nature, Spanish food, which is awesome, etc, etc. But it's more than that. It's more than a holiday. It's more than a destination. It's more than a highlight reel. In fact, some parts are quite boring in terms of the scenery and arguably the food. So why is the Camino so good, and what is the appeal? So a lot of people would say it's the internal part of the journey, and I guess the things that you learn along the way. So what are they, and how do you learn them? Difficult question, but let's say that first, how do you learn them? In reverse order. So the the cool thing about the Camino is like it's a mixture of so many different things. It's walking, which kind of has a rhythmic nature to it. It's the breathing while you're walking, so it's not sort of just a really difficult effort. It's a calm kind of breathing. I think both of those things induce somewhat of a meditative state, conducive to kind of going deeper, and also developing a spiritual side. There's the people, so you meet lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds, and it's fair to say that everybody's struggling with something, but who are we kidding? Like, everybody in the world is struggling with something. It's not unique to people walking the Camino. It doesn't take long when you're chatting to a good friend to confide in them something you're having difficulty with, or for them to tell you the same. So yeah, it's the people, and the people, given that we're all kind of in the same boat and we're all the pilgrims, we're all suffering the same albergues and, you know, suffering the same kilometres. We have a genuine kind of care for each other's well-being, and kind of a wish for everybody's the best. I've started rambling and my 500 words has probably disappeared into thin air, but so much to say, it is the people. On the flip side, it's the solitude. So for good portions of the time you'll be walking alone, and the cool thing about that is that it gives you time to kind of digest your own thoughts, gives you time to have a think about the things that other people that you've been chatting about with other people, other pilgrims, maybe other people back at home on the phone. It's that time of solitude is essential, and combined with the kind of meditative nature of walking is super helpful. So summing up, it's that mixture of external and internal, the external kind of inputs and the internal dialogue, which I think can be very restorative and in some cases very healing. And then you know, what do you learn from the experience? Well, I'm still learning, but one thing I've learned is that holding a phone in one hand for quite a while can be 5.5 minutes can be pretty straining on the muscles. No, but in all seriousness, the things I've learnt, oh, you can't really see me there. The things I've learnt they're simple things. They're things like, it's amazing what you can do if you do things in 300 kilometers to go. So I'm 5/8 of the way through. It's amazing what you can do when you do things in bite-sized chunks. I'm very often a sucker to the thought that I need to do everything in one go. and I procrastinate because of it. I think, oh, there's no way I can get that done, like it's impossible. Kind of goes back to that eating all the food in your whole lifetime, a big pile of food. Well, all of us would kind of shirk at that responsibility, but if you break it down into day-by-day meals, you slowly chew through it all. So yeah, it's lessons like that. It's kind of realizing that what we think sometimes are big problems aren't as big as what we think they are, and are way more common than what we think they are. So it kind of gives us maybe a certain humility. And the rest, I think, probably also it has a lot of parallels with life, and something about that life has, you know, some little signposts along the way that if we look out for them will guide us along the path and get us to the destination. What is the Rosary? So basically the Rosary is a Catholic devotion prayer, sort of directed at, you know, Jesus and Mary, his mother, and going over the events of Jesus' life from before he was born and all the way through to his death. A friend of mine in Australia quite a few years ago said to me, he said, you should pray the Rosary every day. And maybe I should rephrase that. The should word is possibly not always the best, but he recommended praying the Rosary every day, and he thought that it would really change my life for the better. And he actually sent me a book to Barcelona on the Rosary, which I haven't read. But I would like to someday. Then, although I didn't read the book, I did take his advice on board and started praying the Rosary, more or less, you know, trying to do it every day with plenty of diversions from that goal. But yeah, that was sort of the idea. And it did, in fact, change my life. So at that point in time, I was really struggling in Spain. I had a difficult relationship with my boss at the time, and the work was super taxing. I started praying the Rosary, and after not so much time, I changed departments into a job that I'd wanted to do for quite a while, but up to that point had been blocked. I met my girlfriend, my beautiful girlfriend, and actually eventually lost that job when I didn't really want it anymore, and it was kind of reaching the point of diminishing returns. So who knows what's in store next, but suffice to say, yeah, I wouldn't say that that's the only reason those things happen, but my friend was right in the sense that having a kind of daily meditation or daily spiritual exercise has changed my life. So then, switching arms. How does the rosary work? Well, you can see these beads. Basically the way it works is you say an Our Father on the separate bead, and you say a Hail Mary on the 10 grouped beads. The Our Father is a very common prayer from the Bible that Protestants and Catholics alike share. The Hail Mary, on the other hand, is something unique to Catholics, but it's also biblical and comes from the words of the angel Gabriel when he said to Mary that she was to be the mother of God. I won't say those prayers, but feel free to look them up online. I guess the thing about it is, it's I think whether you believe in, like, whether you're a Catholic or not, the Rosary probably has a lot of merit, spiritual merit, like regardless of its Christian focus, let's say. Like, you know, meditation's pretty popular at the moment. There's a lot of apps, and meditation's all about breathing, and the idea with breathing is that you're doing it all the time, and it kind of focuses you in on the present moment. When you're doing the Rosary, you're kind of breathing and you're metering that breath to say the words. Always better to say it out loud than kind of internally. And then I think something like the beads can be somewhat spiritually conducive. You see, like Buddhist monks with big chains of beads, and there's something soothing about beads and the process of chipping through those beads in a Camino-esque fashion. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to say it. So then obviously on top of that you have the Christian element, and where you're focusing on the different parts of Jesus' life. And so to say a Rosary, you say 5 decades, which is 1 decade is 1 Our Father and 10 Hail Marys. So 5 decades, and over 3 days you go over the whole duration of Jesus' life. You got the joyful mysteries, which is sort of Jesus, the announcement that Jesus would be, that Mary would conceive, through to Jesus' childhood. You got the sorrowful mysteries, which is Jesus' passion and death, and then you have the glorious mysteries, which is the Jesus' resurrection and Mary's death and ascension into heaven. So with each one of those mysteries you can offer up a little prayer of you know, your own intentions. And I like to sort of do the same thing every day because I'm an engineer. And the first mystery, pray for my relationship. The second, pray for, you know, God's will in my life, you know, where I live, what my work is. Third, praying for the next generation. Fourth, my family. And the fifth, my friends. And that's my guide to the Rosary. What a bloody lovely bloke. He gave me a bit of melon and a tomato for the Camino, just out of the goodness of his heart. He had a sign up saying no donativos, like no donations. You can use like the bathroom there, or he even asked if I'd had lunch, like, and he didn't look wealthy at all, you know. He had like a collection of postcards and things that people had sent him when they got back home, and he had a whole bunch of stuff from Aussies, like the Aussie flag and tea towels and $5 note, which I didn't steal, going against my Australian instincts. But that was a joke about the First Fleet and the convicts, by the way. It didn't quite come out as smoothly as I'd hoped. I couldn't think of the word. But yeah, what a lovely guy. Really, really cool. Amazing experience when you experience that kind of just generosity and kindness. Pretty sure that's a homegrown tomato. Tastes bloody lovely and should stave off prostate cancer for another few years. Feels amazing to be going up a hill again. Haven't gone up a hill for like a week. Turns out the not only do the Catalans hate the Madrileños, but it gets even closer. The Castilla people hate the Leoneses, the people from Leon. They're actually in one province. I don't even mind Tasmanians that much. Foot check. Seems like this area is taking a bit of a beating. Vaseline is your friend. I just dialed in for the most amazing talk. A guy named Bosco, who was kidnapped for 250 days in Mexico. His testimony was incredible. I received the invite from as part of a hiking, a once a year kind of expedition group that I'm involved in, named the Lions of the Pyrenees. And the talk was incredible. The guy was a successful architect. He'd just run a marathon, possibly for the first time, and he had a family of 7 kids. He was a machine. He was kidnapped, as I said, for 250 odd days. Hard to capture quickly in words what he said, but one of the things he said was that after an initial period of very deep depression, which is totally understandable when you're stuck in a 3-foot by 8-foot room / cell, and sharing details about your family, he reinvented himself in a way and cleaned up the room, set about ordering his day. He had no way of telling what time it was. The lights might have been on all the time. It's effectively torture. And he said he ordered the day by working out how long the cassette tape playing loud background music was, and in doing so he was able to break the day up into different parts. So he kind of, the importance of ordering his day was pretty big. And then the other thing he said was he was Catholic, and he check this out, dog's having a little swim, like St. John the Baptist. He was Catholic, but he said he basically did a full reset on his faith, as it were. He said, I'm not going to think about God for 3 days, pray or anything, and then after 3 days I'll ask myself some deep questions. Do I actually believe in this, or is it just something that's kind of been forced on me by my family? And then he did the reset. He figured, yes, he does believe. Then I think he had a dream, and he felt, well, it's one thing being Catholic and trying to live a good life. He was praying a lot, doing what he could, praying the Rosary, as it were. He'd play it like, I think, six times a day. But he said he realised he had to share it a bit, not just focus on himself. Needed to do apostolate, the word he used, basically share his own experience, his own faith, his own spirituality. And in doing that, it was Christmas Day, and he said to the guards, who weren't the kidnappers but hired as guards, hey, it's Christmas Day, let's come in, let's pray for our families. They came in, they prayed, and some of the guys had a tear in their eye. And he said it was the best Christmas of his life up to that point, because somehow he'd done something bigger than himself for these guys. I mean, you can imagine these security guard guys working for some kidnapping mafia, I was going to say company, organisation. They must have had a pretty tough life to be in that sort of a situation, to be in that line of work. And he said that it really touched him. Long story short, his money, his family had to pay a huge ransom, mortgage their businesses, and but then there was complications with the payment. They couldn't get the money across the borders, and he was, I guess, freaking out. What could happen? He actually escaped from the room, and he'd been naked for like 250 days I presume he was running down the street in the Nud, and he jumped into a house. They kind of kicked him out, and he kept running. Eventually he caught a taxi, and he was on his way to freedom, hopefully by that time with a pair of underpants on. And I don't know all the details, but basically the police, the true police got involved, and the media got involved, and he was safe. Mind-blowing story, really crazy stuff, and it was amazing how he shared about just having that routine, that discipline in his life, and having faith, and really like owning it, and then sharing it, you know, focusing on others, was the turning around point. And he said like everything happens for a reason, and he really felt like that happened for a reason, and it really touched his family. Obviously his kids didn't know the reason, they were too young, but they know about it now, and they see it as a, you know, a real positive, kind of a inspiring story in their lives. So everything happens for a reason, and him sharing it with us wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for his fairly miraculous story and escape. Amazing. I'll put a link to the foundation that his wife set up, Bosco's wife set up, which aims to help poor kids in Mexico. There's over 10 million people living under $1 a day in Mexico. I'm not even managing that and I'm living in albergues. I'm spending like 30 euros a day, so yeah, I can't imagine how tough it must be. So I'll share that in the description below. I missed one important detail that I should share quickly. At the end of that period of depression, they were kind of, the kidnappers or the guards were conscious that he might be going to die. He wasn't eating, he wasn't taking care of himself, and they said it's like you know, Mexico Day or Independence Day or Freedom Day in Mexico, the national day, and we'll get you a drink. He said, I want a scotch on ice, and they got him a scotch on ice. He was like, I'm gonna savor this, it's gonna be the best drink of my life. And he felt like something inside him, you know, say, offer this to me. He said he felt like God was asking him to offer it to him. He emptied the scotch into the toilet in his tiny little room, and he you know, didn't drink it, didn't touch a drop. He said that was like the first battle he won. After that, things started to turn around, and that's when he started ordering his day, praying, exercising. He'd run 80 minutes a day for like 1 minute each for 80 of his friends and family. Inspiring stuff.